You on Bower Farm. You on Bower Farm. Town Commons. You on. Hans. You on Eddie. Veronica. Martin Bauer and Widow Kemperin. Veronica. Veronica says hello, Andreas. Eddie. You on Bauer House. Eddie. Hello, Andreas. You on Bauer House. Hans. Hans. You on Bauer House. Hans. Hans says hey, Andreas. You really think those soldiers are going to attack the town? Option 1 of 2 very possible. Option 2 of 2 God knows. Option 1 of 2 very possible. Hans says damn. I guess our taxes won't really matter if we're killed. Option 1 of 2 yes, that is one way to look at it. Option 2 of 2 you're not going to get killed. It'll be alright. Option 1 of 2 yes, that is one way to look at it. Hans says seems kind of bad. Option 1 of 3 pray to Saint Moritz and trust in God. Option 2 of 3 we'll be fine, Hans. This will work out. Option 3 of 3 just, be ready for anything. Option 2 of 3 we'll Hans says I hope so, Andreas. Hans. You on Town Commons. You on Bower Farm. Town Commons. You on. You on Town Commons. You on. Hans, hello, hello. You on Town Commons. You on Bower Farm. Town Commons, you on. Hans. You on Eddie said Veronica, Martin Bauer and Widow Kemperin. You on Bower Farm. Brigitta. Brigitta. Brigitta says hello, Andreas. Player says could you spare a moment, Brigitta? Brigitta says I suppose. What do you need? Player says it was so strange seeing Martin. Brigitta says what do you mean? Option 1 of 3 it seems like he came back from his travels a changed man. Option 2 of 3 last time I was in Tassing, he ran off. Now he's back, and I didn't recognize him. Option 3 of 3 he was an ass last time I saw him, but he seems changed now. Option 1 of 3 Brigitta says for the better, yes. For all the grief he gave me, we're happy now. Is that so bad? Option 1 of 2 no, no. Of course not. Option 2 of 2 I just didn't expect it of Martin. Option 1 of 2 player says he did get into an argument with Otto when I was coming into town, though. What happened there? Brigitta says why all the questions about my husband, Andreas. Option 1 of 4 I am looking for any reason someone might want to murder Otto. Option 2 of 4 I am trying to figure out who murdered Otto. Option 3 of 4 lie I'm trying to catch up on everything that's changed in Tassing. Option 4 of 4 remain silent. Option 2 of 4 Brigitta says well, it certainly wasn't Martin. Otto was pressing Martin to support him in the town commons, Andreas. Martin has changed, but his history in this town is remembered. He doesn't want to cause more trouble. He didn't want to speak in the commons because he's afraid of the abbot. They squabbled over it. That's all. Player says you're lying, Brigitta. I know the truth. Just come clean. Brigitta says I have no idea what you're talking about, and even if I did, I wouldn't help you accuse my husband. Martin is a good man. Things have changed for us. Why can't you believe that and leave us be? Option 1 of 3 alright. I'll leave it. Option 2 of 3 I am just following up every lead I have. Option 3 of 3 Otto's dead, Brigitta, and if Martin felt threatened by Otto, then that's motive enough. Brigitta says sometimes you really shouldn't meddle, Andreas. You'll ruin lives. Now please, I need to get back to work. Player says of course. Until later, Brigitta. Brigitta. Brigitta says hello again, Andreas. Was there something you needed? Option 1 of 2 Cat told me Wolf passed. I wanted to give my condolences. Option 2 of 2 I am sorry, I forgot what I meant to say. Until later. Option 1 of 2 Cat told Brigitta says oh. Thank you. It's. I try not to think about it. Option 1 of 2 you don't want to remember him. Option 2 of 2 nod regretfully. Option 1 of 2 you Brigitta says I do. Of course I do. Player says do you? Really? Brigitta says no. Oh, I don't know. Option 1 of 2 how do you mean? Option 2 of 2 wait for her to collect her thoughts. Option 1 of 2 how do you mean? Brigitta says. Did I do all I could for him? I cherished him. I tried to protect him. But it wasn't enough. Maybe God took him from me because I wasn't enough. And maybe it's good Wolf died, if Mary in heaven would be a better mother for him than I ever could have been. Option 1 of 2 even Mary could not save her son, Bridget. Option 2 of 2. Option 1 of 2, Bridget says but isn't it she who women are called by the Lord to emulate? Player says yes. I suppose. I don't know what to say. Bridget says Kat wants to talk about him all the time, you know. Any night there's clear skies. She looks up and asks if I ever wonder how he is up there. Player says do you think about what it's like for him in heaven? Bridget says I dream I meet him there sometimes. It's not over for Kat. She wants to keep him alive by remembering him. But I need it to be over. Option 1 of 2 when you dwell on his death, it begins to feel like something terrible might happen to you. Option 2 of 2 I am sorry I brought him up, Bridget. Option 1 of 2 when you, player says like you might do something terrible. Bridget says yes. Andreas, did you? Do you have children? Option 1 of 2 Option 2 of 2 say nothing. Option 1 of 2 Player says say nothing. Continue saying nothing. Bridget says Andreas. Player says I. Option 1 of 2 swallow your tongue. Option 2 of 2 stop breathing. Option 1 of 2 swallow your tongue. Bridget says Andreas, are you alright? Casper says Master. Player says. I'm fine. I shouldn't have brought this up. I'm sorry, Bridget. Bridget says there's nothing to apologize for. I'm glad you cared to ask. That people care about him being gone. It takes the weight off me, having to carry it all. Option 1 of 2 does Martin talk about him? Option 2 of 2 but you still have to carry it? Option 1 of 2 does Martin talk about him? Bridget says no. Almost never. Wolf passed while Martin was gone. Now he pretends like our son never existed. Sigh. It's been good to see you again, Andreas, but I should go. Option 1 of 2 of course. Be well, Bridget. Option 2 of 2 I've kept you too long. Until later. Option 1 of 2 Bridget says be well. Bridget. Hello, Andreas. You on Bauer Farm. Martin Bauer and Widow Kemperin. You on Bauer Farm. Bridget. Bridget. You on Bauer Farm. Martin Bauer and Widow Kemperin. Veronica, Hetty, you on Bauer House. You on Hetty. Hetty says, help, you on Bauer House, Hans. You on Town Commons, Gertner Farm. You on says Andreas. Town Commons. You on Bauer Farm. Gertner Farm, Andreas. Central Town. Alvin Bakery, North Town. Steinauer House. Church and Druckers. Steinauer House. North Town, Alvin Bakery. Town Commons. Alvin Bakery. Central Town. Anna. Grit. Grit says God bless you, Andreas. Anna. Anna says Master Andreas. Can you help me with something? I can't. Player says I can keep a secret. Anna says it's a note, but I can't read it myself. I thought the purple ink was pretty. Player says he knows who you are now. He won't stop. The Rat House. After St. John's fire. Anna says what do you think it means, Master Andreas? Player says Otto must have known Martin's real identity. Where did you find this, Anna? Anna says I found it at the Bauer's house. It was just sitting out, and I grabbed it. You can keep the paper, Master Andreas. Just don't tell anyone where you got it, promise. Option 1 of 2 it's our secret. Option 2 of 2 I won't tell. Option 1 of 2 it's our secret. Anna says good. I'll see you later, Master Andreas. Player says goodbye, Anna. Be good. Anna. Anna says hello, Master Andreas. Central Town, Ulrich. Oh, now's not Central Town. Ulrich, now's not the time to lose our resolve. Central Town. Alban Bakery. Northtown. Steinauer House. Steinauer House. Central Town, Lucky. Lucky says soldiers marching on Tassing. This is getting out of hand. Central Town. Agnes. Agnes says Andreas, I can't talk right now. I need Central Town. Steinauer House. Northtown. Northtown. Central Town. Central Town. Stahl's House, Eisenkope House. Player says Tassing is lucky to have so much wound word. Tassing is lucky to have so much wound word natural. Tassing is lucky to have so much wound word naturally growing. Eisenkope House. Eisenkope House. Northtown. Northtown. Baltasar. Baltasar. Baltasar says greetings, Andreas. Say, that wonderful doctor, Werner, has invited me to dinner. Why don't you and your assistant come along? I'm sure he won't mind. Option 1 of 2, why not? We'd love to join you. Option 2 of 2, I'd hate to intrude. Another time, perhaps. Baltasar. Northtown. Eisenkope House. Stahl's House. Stahl's House. Northtown. Werner. Werner. Northtown. Northtown. Stahl's House. Central Town. Central Town. Northtown. Alban Bakery. Town Commons. Central Town. Hendricks, Gertner Farm. Big Yard. Gertner, Peter. Yuan Bauer Farm. Peter. Peter says hello, Andreas. Gertner House. Big Yard. Big Yard says hey, Andreas. Option 1 of 2, how are you doing, Yard? Option 2 of 2, can you get your dad to calm down? Option 1 of 2, how are you? Big Yard says I'm alright. Veronica's helping Eva and dad's mad all the time. I've tried talking to him, but he won't back down now that Otto's, well. I don't know what else to do. We won't make the winter if we don't do something. Option 1 of 3, we'll work something out with the abbot. Option 2 of 3, let me solve Otto's murder first. Then we can worry about the rest. Option 3 of 3, if Peter hadn't flown off the handle, this would have been a lot easier. Option 1 of 3, we'll work something out with the abbot. Just give it time. Option 2 of 3, Big Yurk says I don't know if we have that long. You'd better hurry, Andreas. I'll let you get back to it, then. Until later. Player says until then. Big Yurk. Town Commons. Big Yurk. Gertner, Peter. Gertner House. Gertner House. Gertner Farm. Ursula. Il Peter. Il Peter says God bless you. Ursula says hello, Andreas. Gertner Farm. Clara says hello, Andreas. Clara. Gertner Farm. Gertner House. Peter. Yuan Bauer Farm. Yuan Bauer Farm. Gertner Farm. Town Commons. Yuan. Hans. Hans says hello, Yuan. Town Commons. Yuan Bauer Farm. Town Commons. Yuan. Hans. Yuan Bauer. Eddie. Veronica. Martin Bauer and Widow Kemperin. Veronica. Eddie. Eddie says hello, Andreas. Yuan Bauer House. Hello, Veronica, Martin Bauer and Widow Kemperin. Yuan Bauer Farm. Brigitta. Brigitta says hello, Andreas. Yuan Bauer Farm. Brigitta. Brigitta. Yuan Bauer Farm. Martin Bauer and Widow Kemperin. Veronica, Eddie, Yuan Bauer House, Hans. Yuan, Town Commons, Gertner Farm. Town Commons. Yuan Bauer Farm. Zimmerman House. Church and Druckers. Town Commons. Central Town. Drucker House. Martin Bauer at Mill, Art Thomas. Art Mill. Thomas. Meadow. Forest. Meadow. Thomas. Mill. Martin Bauer and Widow Kemperin. Martin Bauer and Mill. Thomas. Meadow. Church and Druckers, Golden Hand Inn. Mill. Petchlaw. Forest. Lower Abbey. Meadow. Lower Abbey. Forest. Petchlaw, Mill. Player says the many-petaled cinquefoil. It grows so easily some consider it a weed. Mill. Meadow. Roman ruins. Muller House, else. Church, Outer Farms. Church, else. Muller House. Else. Else says, oh, Master Mailer, do you have meal plans? My husband was hoping you'd eat with us. Option 1 of 2, I'd love to join you. Else says, wonderful. Lenhart will be pleased. Lenhart says, Master Mailer. So glad you could join us. And, your? Player says, my apprentice, Casper. Lenhart says, of course, Casper. Welcome, welcome. Else says, I hope you'll enjoy everything I prepared this evening. Lenhart, will you pray before the meal? Lenhart says, who else would? You. Paul. Our guests? Else says, I apologize, Lenhart, Master Mailer. Forgive me. Option 1 of 2, it's not a problem. Option 2 of 2, say nothing. Option 1 of 2, it's not. Lenhart says, bless us, O Lord, and these, your gifts, which we are about to receive from your bounty. Through Christ, our Lord, Amen. Else says, Paul says, Casper says, Amen. Player says, Amen. Lenhart says, I must say, Andreas, I'm sorry I never had you eat with us on your first visit to Tassing. I was preoccupied running the mill, you see. Paul says, right, preoccupied. Else says, you know how busy your father is, Paul. Lenhart is always working on something. Option 1 of 3, of course, I understand. The mill. Option 2 of 3, I understand. A wandering artist, and not even a master, at that, held no interest for you. Option 3 of 3, remain silent. Option 1 of 3, of course, I understand. The mill must be hard to manage. Lenhart says, it's all much easier to manage now with the windmill. It's the only one in Bavaria, you know. Well, I've remedied that little lapse in courtesy now. You're getting the best I have to offer. And the best I have to offer is the best in Tassing. Select food item to eat. Custard pie. Andreas, when you have some time, you should come hunting with me, up in the mountains. It's exhilarating. Option 1 of 2, I am trying to find a murderer, you know. Option 2 of 2, ILL, think about it. Option 1 of 2, I am. Lenhart says, yes, well. But enough about Tassing. Tell me how you've made that fortune. How is life in Nuremberg? Option 1 of 2, I have opened a workshop, and my wife and I live quite comfortably in Nuremberg. Option 2 of 2, I have a commission waiting back in Nuremberg, but it's become complicated by increasing demands. Option 1 of Lenhart says, without that wife around, you can get up to all sorts of fun while you're here in Tassing. Else says. Lenhart says, there are plenty of willing parties, if you know what to do. Option 1 of 2, I prefer my art, thank you. Option 2 of 2, remain silent. Option 1 of 2, Lenhart says, well, you're certainly a man passionate about his work if you've made so much of yourself in so short a time. The peasants around here could learn a thing or two from you. No one around here even knows what work is anymore. Of course, I'm raising Paul to be better than all that. The boy's got to have higher aspirations. Player says, what do you want to do, Paul? Paul says, I. Lenhart says. Paul says, I want to learn to run the mill, like my dad. Lenhart says, of course you do. You know your place. Else says. Select food item to eat. Venison. Venison. Lenhart says, anyway, I'm glad you've come back to Tassing. Given me some real conversation, at least. Else says, have you been busy investigating the murder, Andreas? Lenhart says, what business is it of yours, Else? Option 1 of 2, yes, and I haven't much time to give Peter a suspect. Option 2 of 2, I'd rather not talk about it. Apologies. Option 1 of 2, Lenhart says, well, with any luck the Duke will send soldiers here before Peter escalates things further. Else says, I certainly hope this all ends before there's more violence. Lenhart says, maybe the peasants need a little taste of violence to put them in their place. Select food item to eat. White bread. White bread. White bread. White bread. White bread. White bread. One would think our peasants could learn from the failures in Swabia, but, well. God didn't really fashion them for thinking, did he? Option 1 of 3, well, the peasants are in a hard spot, especially with Chernot's new restrictions. Option 2 of 3, I don't think the peasants are the problem. Option 3 of 3, it's hard to understand the intricacies of the situation. Option 1 of 3, well, Lenhart says the restrictions affect the townspeople more than the peasants. That's what Otto was fighting for, even if I disagreed with him. Now that Peter is leading the mob, there's no sense to be made of any of it. He's just out for revenge. Paul says, but Ulrich says that what the abbot is doing isn't Christian. Lenhart says, what? Are you going to tell the abbot, of all people, what's not Christian, Paul? The abbey is entitled to profit from the land it owns and retain what it produces, just as we do. Option 1 of 4, I think Paul was speaking of Ulrich's opinions, not his own. Option 2 of 4, you really ought to give him more credit, Lenhart. Option 3 of 4, Paul takes after his father in precision of thought. Option 4 of 4, remain silent. Lenhart says, Else says, please, Lenhart, not at the table. Lenhart says, fine. I've had my fill anyway, and I'd hate to keep you from your work with more idle chatter, Andreas. Lenhart says, Andreas, you really must come hunting with me. It'll be a day you won't ever forget, I promise. Option 1 of 2, with soldiers surrounding the town? Are you sure that's safe? Option 2 of 2, I am a bit preoccupied given the imminent attack on the town. Option 1 of 2, Lenhart says they're surrounding the peasants. If we want to hunt, we can hunt. Option 1 of 2, I am investigating Otto's murder. A hunt. Option 2 of 2, no, I can't. Option 1 of 2, I am investigating Otto's murder. A hunt hardly seems appropriate. Lenhart says if it would help, I can tell you what I know. And I know a fair deal. Option 1 of 2, all right. Fine. Option 2 of 2, no, I can't. Option 1 of 2, all right. Fine. Lenhart says excellent. There's no need to rush off right after a meal, so speak to me again when you're rested and ready to go. Mill. Headstog. Mill. Lenhart. Lenhart. Mill. Muller House. Paul, Roman ruin, meadow. Roman, Paul. Paul says hello, Master Mailer. Roman ruin, meadow. Mill. Hetchlaw. Forest. Forest. Meadow. Shrine of Waterfall. Shrine of Saint Sasha. Nymphium. Casper says ready to see where this goes. Option 1 of 2, let's get going. Option 2 of 2. We'll come back when we have more time. Option 1 of 2, let's get going. Casper says, what are these buildings? What is this place? Player says it's some kind of Roman ruin, like the aqueduct in the meadow. Casper says, look, Master Andreas. The flowers. Player says, ah, finally. Maybe we'll find something useful after all. Let's look around. Player says a Roman depiction of a nymph. There's an inscription underneath, probably a dedication. The Romans believed that keeping the nymph of the spring happy would ensure their water stayed fresh. This cistern must have doubled as her temple. Player says a lot of these flowers are growing here. Player says another inscription. It's still in good shape. Player says this Latin is carved sloppily into the stone. That's odd. Casper says, is that what it looks like, Master Andreas? Player says yes, the costume the killer was wearing when they ran past us. So much for us finding it in the home of the killer. Well, perhaps there's a clue inside. When Florian examined the code of Baron Lockwood, we have. Casper says I have you, Master Andreas. Player says Casper, go get help. Casper says I won't let you fall. Player says it's not a long drop, just get someone to bring a rope. Casper says I can't abandon you, Master. Option 1 of 3 Casper. Get help. Option 2 of 3 bringing me a rope isn't abandoning me. Option 3 of 3 let out a long sigh of resignation. Option 1 of 3 Casper. Casper says I can pull you. Casper says well, we're all wet, but I don't think I heard anything. I guess that wasn't really that long of a fall. Option 1 of 3 the important thing is that you aren't hurt. Let's focus on getting out of here. Option 2 of 3 yes. That's what I said. That's why I wanted you to get a rope. Option 1 of 3 Casper says of course, Master. Player says I wish we had a little more light down here. I can't see a thing, can you? Casper says. Player says I'm going to look around and see if I can find a way out. Casper says does this work? Player says is this an exit? I can't see shit in here. The water is murky, I can't see the bottom. Casper. Option 1 of 3 I must admit, I'm impressed. Option 2 of 3 that should help. Option 3 of 3 nod respectfully. Option 2 of 3 that should help. Casper says I just remembered how flammable these brush rags are. Player says why were you carrying around a flint and steel? Casper says well, you never know when you might need some fire. Option 1 of 2 of course. Casper says what is this place? Player says a cistern. It must collect water from the spring to feed it into the aqueduct. Casper says the aqueduct in the meadow? Player says I suppose so. Casper says then all we need to do is follow it back. Player says perhaps. Lower aqueduct. Lower aqueduct. Lower aqueduct. Cistern. Cistern. Casper says it looks like the tunnel collapsed here, Master. Player says it must lead toward the town. Casper says it looks like there's a gap. Do you want me to try to squeeze through? Option 1 of 3 absolutely not. It's too dangerous. Option 2 of 3 I don't know. It seems risky. Option 3 of 3 yes. I'd like to know what's on the other side. Option 1 of 3 absolutely not. Casper says of course, Master. There must be another way we can go. Cistern. Casper says, where do you think this goes? Player says, well, it goes up, so it probably leads out. Casper says, I don't think I can squeeze through that gap. Player says, we need to find something to move the rocks, something to give us leverage. Wait. Casper says, huh? Player says, never mind. Let's find a way out of here. Jump across. Jump across. Jump across. Jump across. Jump across. Upper Aqueduct Convent. Jump across. Jump across. Upper Aqueduct Convent. Lower Aqueduct. Casper says there's a big grate. Maybe we can get out that way. Player says it's too high for either of us to reach. Climb on my shoulders and see if you can push it out of the way. Casper says it looks like a kitchen. Player says the Abbey kitchen? What else is up here? Casper says I don't think so. It's big, though. Player says of course. We must be under the convent. Do you see any of the nuns? Casper says no. Hello. Nothing. Where could they be? Player says I doubt the sisters loiter in the kitchen all day long. Can you lift the grate off? Casper says there's something heavy above me. I can only lift it a little and I don't think I can squeeze through. I might be able to reach. I got a fire poker. Option 1 of 2, excellent. We can use it to move the rocks and get out of here. Casper says oh. Of course, master. Upper Aqueduct Crypt. Casper says, is this a door? Player says it appears to be so, a strange one. Casper says, where does it go? Player says, I'll try to nudge it. Option 1 of 2, I can't say, but it must have been built much more recently than the rest of the aqueduct. Option 2 of 2, it must be another secret entrance into the abbey. Casper says, another? Player says, when I was investigating the Baron's death, I found a secret entrance from the abbey's library to the crypt. Casper says could the abbot use this door to escape? Player says escape to where? We can't even find our way out. Casper says that's a fair point. Player says it's possible that the abbot doesn't even know it's here. Casper says what's that sound, master? Player says, snoring. Casper says is someone sleeping on the other side of the door? Option 1 of 2 hey. Wake up. Option 2 of 2 if my shoving isn't waking them up, they're either dead drunk or knocked out. Option 1 of 2 hey, Casper says. What should we do, master? Player says well, we already have the poker from the convent kitchen. We can try that on the stones and try to get out. Casper says of course. Upper Aqueduct Convent. Upper Aqueduct Crypt. Lower Aqueduct. Upper Aqueduct Convent. Jump across. Jump across. Player says try using the fire poker from the kitchen to shift the rocks out of the way. Wait. I still hear something. Lenhart says you shouldn't come here during the day. Hannah says I had to. The farmers are out for blood. Lenhart says and? Did you fail to notice the soldiers gathering around the town? When the fighting starts, we need to be indoors. Hannah says you know that's not why I'm here. Lenhart says then quit wasting my time and get to the point. Hannah says don't play stupid. We both wanted Otto gone. Lenhart says now he is. I didn't kill him, did you? Hannah says why would you ask me such a thing? Lenhart says because of the note, you stupid cow. Because of the note that sent you into hysterics. Because you're behaving like a woman who committed a murder and is afraid of being caught. Hannah says how could you th? Lenhart says stop. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you did or didn't. He's dead. The idiot peasants can beat the ground with their pitchforks and nothing will come of it. Hannah says what about that artist, Andreas? Lenhart says he could be a problem. Have you done anything to raise his suspicions? Hannah says I don't think so. Lenhart says good. Then just wait. Time will run out for Peter and the rest of his wordless kind. By evening, the Duke's men will overrun the town. The farmers don't stand a chance. The abbot will stay in power. Pilgrims will keep coming to the shrine and staying at your inn. Hannah says yes. Good. Thank you for putting my mind at ease. Lenhart says be quiet. Go home. Don't come here again unless it's for a quick buck. If you want comfort, talk to your fat husband. Don't bother me with your hysteria. Hannah says. Of course. I'm sorry. Casper says I'm glad we're finally out of there, Master. What a strange adventure. Do you think Mistress Hannah could have killed Otto? Player says she's only been pretending to care about the town's safety. She's only concerned with the shrine staying open. Casper says why would that make her want to kill Otto? Player says if the peasants overthrew the abbot, they might loot or destroy the shrine. Without the hand of St. Moritz, there's not much reason for pilgrims to travel to Kiersau. Casper says there'd hardly be any visitors to the Golden Hand. Player says exactly. Now we know Hannah has a motive. It's possible she'd kill to protect her family's inn. We need to talk to Nico and Killian to see just how committed she was. But first, let's go back to the Golden Hand and clean up. People will get suspicious if we walk around town like this. Casper says good idea, Master. Player says everyone will be waiting to hear my evidence now. I'd best head into town and be prepared to name a suspect. Golden Hand Inn. The room is sparse compared to what I'm used to. Go to bed. I'm not tired yet. Perhaps after Compline. Golden Hand Inn. Golden Hand Guest Room. Golden Hand Guest Room. Hannah. Hannah says hello, Master Mailer. Anything I can do for you? Option 1 of 3 yes, actually. Option 2 of 3 that was some fight, wasn't it? Option 3 of 3 no, nothing. Option 1 of 3 yeah. Player says you must want a break from all the work sometimes. A way to let off steam. Hannah says I don't understand, Andreas. Option 1 of 3 I know what you do by the Roman ruins. Option 2 of 3 I know you're cheating on your husband with Lenhart. Option 3 of 3 but really Hannah, Lenhart. You could do option 2, option 1 of 3 option 3 of 3 but really Hannah, Lenhart. You could do better. Option 1 of 3 I know what you do. Hannah says, oh God. How did you know? Did Lenhart tell you? Option 1 of 3 I overheard the two of you talking by the old aqueduct. Option 2 of 3 it doesn't matter. Option 3 of 3 it's not hard to figure out. Option 1 of 3 Hannah says, oh God, Lenhart was right. Damn it, Andreas, what do you want from me? Option 1 of 2 what matters the most, the truth. A gift endowed unto humanity by God above. Option 2 of 2 why did you do it? Hannah says Lenhart is handsome, strong, forthright. He knows what he wants. A proper man. Not like Nico. Nico is so boring. Weak. He avoids taking a stance, avoids making the tough choices. Player says I see. So when it comes to tough choices, if you're willing to cheat, there's no telling what else you could have done. Hannah says by God, Andreas. Are you accusing me of killing Otto? Listen, I've made my mistakes, and I'll atone for them. But being with Lenhart is the worst of it. I wouldn't kill Otto. I disagreed with the man, yes, but kill him. I even went up to the rat house to try and talk him out of opposing the abbot. I have a business and a son to look out for. I want to avoid the violence, not cause more of it. Option 1 of 2, I believe you. You're trying to keep the peace. Option 2 of 2. I'll keep that in mind. Option 1 of 2, Hannah says yes. Thank you for hearing me out, Andreas. I should get back to work. If there's something you need, let me know. Hannah. Hello, Master Mailer. Anything? Option 1 of 2, that was some fight, wasn't it? Hannah says yes. I'm glad it didn't get too out of hand. Samuel is a helpful, if expensive, guest to have on hand. No matter now. Fights aren't common in Tassing, but I suppose it was just a matter of time. With Otto's death and all the revolts around, everyone's on edge, especially the pilgrims. Player says everyone seems to have an opinion about that. You were pretty vocal against Otto the other day. What was that about? Hannah says just what I said then. I don't want anyone to get hurt. Especially now. We've already had one death in Tassing. We don't need any more. Option 1 of 3, what about the plight of the peasants? They're dying too. Option 2 of 3, that doesn't explain why you spoke out. Otto never advocated for violence. Option 3 of 3, you were opposed to Otto's ideas, though. Option 1 of Hannah says I feel for the peasants, truly. But their coin won't keep our doors open. My husband and I need to make a living. The Golden Hand relies on pilgrims and travelers for its business, Andreas. If Otto got his way, everything would be chaos. Swabia is burning as it is. We need the law to live civilized lives, Andreas. What Otto was advocating for, scared me. Player says Fabian mentioned you spent a lot of time over by the rat house. You must have gotten very familiar with the construction mechanisms. And you'd know Otto's patterns. Hannah says, look, Andreas. You're right. I don't like what Otto was advocating, and I disagreed with him. But I was going up to the rat house to try and talk him out of opposing the abbot. Not to try and kill him. I have a business and a son to look out for. I want to. Option 1 of 2, I believe you. You're trying to keep the peace. Hannah says yes. Thank you for. I should get back to work. If there's something you need, Hannah. Hannah. Golden Hand guest room. Golden Hand guest room. Hannah. Hannah. Hello, Master Mailer. Anything I can. Player says no, nothing. Sorry to bother you. Hannah. Hannah says hello, Player says no, nothing. Hannah. Golden Hand guest room. Golden Hand inn. The room is sparse compared to what I'm used to. Go to bed. I'm not tired yet. Perhaps after Compline. The room is sparse compared to what I'm used. Golden Hand inn. Golden Hand guest room. Golden Hand guest room. Killian. Yuzua says God bless you. Killian. Player says hello, Killian. Do you have a moment? Killian says sure. Is there something wrong with your room? Player says no. I wanted to know if you'd noticed anything odd about your mother lately. Killian says odd how? Option 1 of 2, have you noticed her leaving the inn at strange times of day? Option 2 of 2, does she ask you to watch the inn by yourself very often? Option 1 of 2, Killian says sometimes, I guess. Dad and I usually run the place in the evening when she gets tired. But lately she's been leaving during sext. She says she brings food over to the townsfolk at the rat house. So I usually watch the inn until she gets back. Player says Killian says there was one other time. Option 1 of 2, go on. Killian says Mom left in a hurry one night, and when I was cleaning up around the bar, I found this note. Player says he will destroy the abbey. Hell will swallow the hand of St. Moritz. The rat house. After St. John's fire. Player says another note. I've seen several like this before. Killian says but, what does it mean? Player says St. John's fire. I wonder if that means the bonfire. Option 1 of 2, could one of the guests have left the note? Option 2 of 2 I think the note was meant for your mother. Option 1 of 2 could one of the guests have left the note? Killian says I don't think so, Master Mailer. I found it tucked under the money chest. Player says the note could have been for one of your parents, then. But what? Killian says. I don't know. I don't want anyone to destroy the abbey, even if the abbot is cruel to the peasants. Option 1 of 2 I'll keep that from happening, Killian. Don't. Option 2 of 2 Ulrich is keeping Peter calm. For now. Option 1 of 2 I'll keep that from happening, Killian. Don't worry. Killian says I hope the note helps, Master Mailer. Just, don't tell mom or dad, alright? Option 1 of 2 alright, Killian. I won't say anything. Option 2 of 2 this note might have bigger connections than you think, Killian. Option 1 of 2 Killian says thanks, Master Mailer. I should get back to work. See you later, Master Mailer. Player says until then. Killian. Hannah. Hannah says hello, Master Mailer. Player says no, nothing. Sorry to bother you, Hannah. Killian. Yuzua says God bless you. Killian. Nico. Nico says hello, Andreas. Can I help you with something? Option 1 of 2 actually, I'd like to talk to you about your wife. Option 2 of 2 perhaps later. Option 1 of 2 Nico says Hannah. What about her? Option 1 of 2 do you know what she gets up to over by the Roman ruins? Option 2 of 2 you know she's fucking the miller. Option 1 of 2 Nico says I. Yes. Yes. Option 1 of 3 I am sorry. It must be hard for you. Option 2 of 3 and you're fine with that? Option 3 of 3 pathetic. Option 1 of 3 I am sorry, Nico says quite. But I love her. And I have to think of Killian. I just don't know what to do. I don't really understand her. Option 1 of 3 Hannah said you're weak and boring. Option 2 of 3 women are mysterious, and remain so. Option 3 of 3 I don't often understand my wife either. Option 1 of 3 Hannah said you're weak and boring. Lacking in courage and fortitude. Nico says and what? I'm supposed to be an arrogant shit like Lenhart? Option 1 of 3 accept that your marriage is going to be miserable. Option 2 of 3 all I know is that something has to change. An unhappy marriage is a wretched way to live. Option 3 of 3 yes, I suppose you could cheat too. Option 1 of 3 player says I've learned it from my own marriage. If you two do not match, there's no escape from the unhappiness. With every passing year, the resentment deepens. The gaping wound of bitterness in your soul grows ever larger. Nico says. Why have I been cursed so? Player says although, your woes may not stay like this for too long. She's glad Otto died. Did you know that? Nico says I'm sure I don't know what you mean. Option 1 of 2 I think you do. Option 2 of 2 really? She never said anything about Otto to you. Nico says no, never. She never did. Now, please leave me be. Option 1 of 2 as you wish. Until later. Option 2 of 2. Option 1 of 2 as you. Nico says until then. Nico. Samuel. Samuel says hello, Andreas. Samuel. Nico. Killian. Yuzua. Meadow. Golden Hand Inn. Mill. Echelon. Forest. Lower Abbey. Forest. Echelon. Mill. Mill. Roman ruins. Muller House. Mill. Paul. Petstog. Paul. Mill. Lenhart. Lenhart says Andreas. Player says hello, Lenhart. Do you have a moment? Lenhart says sure. What do you want? Option 1 of 2 just letting you know I'm onto you. Option 2 of 2 I know about you and Hannah. Option 1 of 2 Lenhart says what the hell does that mean, Andreas? Option 1 of 3. It means maybe I overheard things. Things that don't look good for you. Option 2 of 3 it means you should be more careful where you meet up with the women in this town. Option 3 of 3 it means I know about you and Hannah. Option 1 of Lenhart says say it outright, man. If you're going to threaten me, don't be a damn coward. Option 1 of 2 it means you should be more careful where you meet up with the women in this town. Lenhart says I told Hannah not to meet me there in the middle of the day. Stupid bitch. You think I give a shit who knows about us? I fuck most of the women in this town, Andreas. No one has ever done anything about it. You won't change that. You don't scare me. What do you want? Option 1 of 3, you said I could be a problem. Option 2 of 3, you asked Hannah if she could be a murderer, but she never answered. Do you think she killed Otto? Lenhart says, not very delicate about the matter, are you? No, I don't think she did. She's a devilish woman, sure, but too cowardly. She won't even admit to her husband he's a cuckold, much less murder Otto. If you're really looking for someone to blame, try Martin. There's something off about him, and Otto knew it. Now, can we be done with this tiresome inquisition? I have things to do. Lenhart. Andreas. Mill. Muller House. Else. Church, Outer Farms. Church and Else. Else says bless you, Master Mailer. Church and Druckers. Our Lady of the Mill. Martin Bauer and Widow Kemperin. Martin Bauer and Widow Kemperin. Church and Druckers. Martin Bauer. Cat. Cat says hello, Andreas. Martin. Martin says hello, Andreas. Martin. Martin. Cat. Martin Bauer House. Church and Town Commons. Church and Druckers. Martin Bauer House. Martin Bauer. Cat. Martin Bauer House. Church and Town Commons. Peter says we don't have much time, so let's get this over with. I know some of you are frightened, some of you want to give up, but we have to see this through. Maybe we can't get what we've been fighting for, but we can get justice for Otto. Sepp says that. Yuan says. Till says justice. Big Yerk says, Dad, what about the Duke's soldiers? They've been getting closer all day. Peter says, I know. That's why we have to do this now, before it's too late. All we need now is for Andreas to tell us who did it. No more stalling, Andreas. We need to know who killed Otto, and we need to know now. Hetty says, can Andreas even tell us the truth? Option 1 of 3, of course I can. Finding the culprit is all I've been doing since you chased the monks into the library. Option 2 of 3, I'll tell you so that justice can be served, not so you can fulfill your revenge. Option 1 of 3, of course, Ulrich says, peace, peace. If Andreas names the guilty party, they should face the law, not a mob. Peter says, I'm not debating this, Ulrich. We're out of time. Acting now is the only way to get justice. We can't let anything stop us. A name, Andreas. Just give us a name. We'll do the rest. Veronica says she made it, everyone. She made it? Rachel gave birth to a baby girl. Agnes says, quiet, quiet. Everyone needs to stay back and give Rachel space. Peter says, yes, Agnes. Of course. Agnes says, all is well, praise God. Benjamin says, safe and sound, and a baby girl, Barak Hashem. With everything going on, with everything that could have happened. Gert says, God be praised. Ulrich says, thank God. Veronica says, such a blessing. Balthasar says, thanks be to God, indeed. Claus says, Peter, I'm sorry. I can't keep supporting you anymore. I understand your cause, but I need to protect my daughter and keep my friends safe. I've already lost Marie and Bert. I can't bear to lose anyone else. If bowing to the Duke's wishes will protect us, I'll do it gladly. I believe in the cause, Peter, but not at the cost of any more violence. Option 1 of 3, Claus, we cannot back down in the threat of violence. Option 2 of 3, this is a stressful time for us all. Option 3 of 3, you remaking the right decision, Claus. Lives are. Claus says, please excuse me, everyone. I need a moment to myself. Entry says maybe he's right. Gert says this is too much. Veronica says right. Werner says maybe violence. Balthasar says the matter isn't so straightforward. Peter says how can you all so easily give up? Andres says that soldier said the Duke would consider concessions for the town if we release the abbot. Surely that will be enough. Option 1 of 2, it may be enough to approach the Duke's soldiers, especially if you let the abbot go. Option 2 of 2, the soldiers and the abbot won't listen. We should do this ourselves. Option 1 of 2, it may be. Ulrich says force will not solve anything. Letting the abbot go and getting concessions is the best solution for everyone, Peter. Grit says letting the abbot go would be justice, wouldn't it? If he's not the one who killed Otto? Peter says you townsfolk don't understand. Letting the abbot go won't fix anything. If we can't get the concessions we need, all peasants will starve and die in the end, and then where will Tassing be? Besides, Otto's death needs to be vindicated. Don't walk away from this now, Ulrich. Ulrich says I have not swayed from the cause, Peter, rest assured. Grit says but, Ulrich, this isn't your fight. Ulrich says Grit, it is moral and Christian to stand with the peasants. I cannot do otherwise. Agnes says damn you all. Such behavior is reckless and cruel, especially right now. Get out, all of you. Let Rachel rest. Peter says, yes, Agnes. We'll go now. Andreas, we're not done. We must still find justice for Otto before the Duke's soldiers arrive. Option 1 of 2, yes, let's continue this outside. Peter says no more stalling. No more interruptions. Tell us what you know, Andreas. Give us a name. Give us a name or the monks can burn along with their precious books. Option 1 of 3, remember your promise. You'll let them go. You won't hurt them. Option 2 of 3, mobbing the culprit won't give you any concessions. Let's just give the murderer to the Duke's men instead. Option 3 of 3, alright. Fine, I'll tell you. Option 1 of 3, Peter says yes, I remember. But first you need to give us what we want. Tell us. Player says I have one more condition. Peter says God damn it, Mailer. We don't have time for this. Option 1 of 2, enough innocent blood has already been spilled. Let Casper leave before things get any worse. Option 2 of 2, let Casper leave. He doesn't have to be wrapped up in this mess. Option 1 of 2, enough innocent. Player says he's just a boy, Peter. Please. Casper says what? Leave. Peter says yes, fine. The boy can leave. It's not his fight. Player says please, Casper. I couldn't live with myself if something happened to you. Casper says no. No, Master Andreas. I won't leave you. Player says I know you don't want to, but you have to. Find your way back to Salzburg, back to your family. Casper says. Player says please. Casper says. Master Andreas, you'll teach me again when this is all over, right? Option 1 of 3, of course, Casper. I'll be right behind you. Option 2 of 3, just go, Casper. Please. Option 3 of 3, remain silent. Option 1 of 3, of course, Casper says, alright. I'll see you soon, Master. Peter says who killed Otto? Option 1 of 2, Hannah Casper and I overheard Hannah Bergeren speaking with Lenhard Muller. She said she was glad someone killed Otto because an uprising would have threatened pilgrim visits to the shrine of St. Moritz, which would have been disastrous for the Golden Hand. Also, it's clear she's having an affair with the miller. Pick a suspect to rally the mob against. Press and hold to confirm your choice. Option 2 of 2, Guy, I found the Abbey's financial ledger in the sacristy. Brother Guy was balancing the books using a double bookkeeping method. He keeps meticulous records, maybe too meticulous. There was a mostly blank scrap of parchment between the pages. Its purpose is unclear. Option 1 of 2, Hannah Casper and I overheard Hannah Bergeren speaking with Lenhard Muller. She said she was glad someone killed Otto because an uprising would have threatened pilgrim visits to the shrine of St. Moritz, which would have been disastrous for the Golden Hand. Also, it's clear she's having an affair with the miller. Player says Hannah Bergeren killed Otto to protect the inn. Peter says to protect the inn? Why would the inn be in danger? Player says I overheard Hannah confiding in Lenhard by the old ruins in the meadow. She was afraid that if Otto pushed the abbot out, the hand of St. Moritz would go with him. No relic, no pilgrims, no golden hand. Hannah spent time at the rat house. What? What was she doing there, if not plotting Otto's death? Peter says we should have known. She's a newcomer here, never supported the peasants, never supported what Otto was doing. And if she was sneaking off to the ruins to talk to that bastard Lenhard? Well, I don't think anything more needs to be said. Ulrich says alright, Peter. We've heard Andreas out, but the accused should be allowed to defend themselves. Lenhart says you're not going anywhere, Peter. You're not getting anyone. None of you are. Hannah is under my protection. And you're out of time. Peter, I'm so delighted I was able to snuff out the flickering flame of your pathetic rebellion. Listen to me, all of you. It's over. You're done. The only thing you can do now is release the abbot and pray for the Duke's mercy. If any of you people set foot near my mill, you'll get none from me. Peter says damn him. Damn him. He thinks he can stop us? All of us? He can't. Ulrich says Peter, this has gone too far. We have to release the abbot before it's too late. Peter says to hell with the abbot, Ulrich. And if you won't help us, to hell with you. Option 1 of 3 Peter, listen to Ulrich. He's right. Option 2 of 3 this is our last chance to get justice for Otto, Ulrich. Option 3 of 3 remain silent. Option 1 of 3, Peter says no he is not. Option 1 of 2 let's wait for the Duke's men. They can sort this out, and no one needs to get hurt. Option 2 of 2 there must be a peaceful way to do this. Option 1 of 2, Peter says the Duke doesn't care about Otto. The abbot doesn't care about Otto. We're doing this ourselves. To the mill. Lenhart says stay back, brutes. This won't end well for any of you. Hannah has my protection, and I won't hesitate to shoot you like the animals you are. So stay away from my fucking mill. And you, Andreas? I thought you'd made something of yourself. It seems you're really as pathetic as the rest of this lot. Option 1 of 3 you're an asshole, Lenhart. You always had the wrong ideas about the peasants. I never agreed with you. Option 2 of 3 just give us the murderer, Lenhart. Don't make things worse. Option 3 of 3 I don't want to be wrapped up in this. The peasants forced my hand. All this is madness. Lenhart says yet you're standing there with the rest of them. You could have let this go, but instead you had to meddle. Peter says else, take the boy and go. You don't need to be involved in this. Lenhart says no. Else, don't you dare disobey me, Paul. You hear me? Get your mother back inside. Paul says I'm not staying here any longer. I'm taking Mom, and we're leaving, somewhere far away from you. Lenhart says you'll regret this, boy. I won't be responsible for how your life turns out if you leave. Peter says Lenhart, let them go. They've lived under your rule long enough. Lenhart says I should have expected this from you, Paul. You've always been a sad excuse for a son. And else. If you do this, you won't find anyone else to love you. You'll be a feckless old crone like that Adelia, else. Peter says it's over, Lenhart. They're gone. You're not so high and mighty now, are you? You're going to lose everything, just like us. Give up, Mulder. There's more of us than you in that mill, and you can't shoot us all. Give us Hannah, you bastard. Hannah says I didn't kill Otto. I was scared about what would happen to the shrine, but I would never kill someone. Please, think of my family. Peter says and what about Otto's family? What about my daughter, a widow with an infant son? It's too late to plead for mercy now. Lenhart says you're all mad. This isn't how the law works and you know it. Your blabbering will change nothing. Peter says you've never given a damn about law or justice or propriety or fucking decency a day in your life, Lenhart. Lenhart says ha. You've let me have my way for years, Peter, and done shit all about it. You've never stood up for anything, and you won't get any further today, coward. Ulrich says Peter. Lenhart. Please, let us search for peace tonight. Such language is not Christian. Peter says coward, am I? Come down here and face me like a man, you piece of shit. Ulrich says please, everyone calm down. We can still talk this out. Violence is not the answer, Peter. Lenhart says you can't blame the man, Ulrich. Force is all Peter and his family knows. It certainly worked with Christine. Peter says how dare you even speak her name, much less suggest. Lenhart, you killed him. Big Yerg says murder. Sepp says you monster. Yuan says burn him. Carl says make him pay. Till says justice. Peter says you've been a menace on this town long enough, Lenhart, but murder. You brought this on yourself. Let both of the murderers die together. Claus says Andreas. Troops are advancing on the town. We need to go, now. We must let the abbot out so he can talk to the Duke's soldiers. Option 1 of 3 you rewrite. Let's go. Option 2 of 3 if we don't get the abbot out, he won't be able to stop the soldiers. Option 3 of 3 it's not the soldiers hurting anyone I'm worried about, it's Peter. Option 2 of 3 if we don't get the abbot out, option 1 of 3 you rewrite. Let's go. Claus says, Father Abbot, you can come out. The peasants won't hurt you now. Gernot says, really? What? Claus says Andreas found the killer and justice has been dispensed. Peter has to keep to his word. Gernot says, are you sure? Claus says, please, Father Abbot, the Duke's soldiers have surrounded the town. We have to show them you're in no danger, that the peasants aren't holding you captive. We don't want any more bloodshed, Father. Matthew says, oh thank God. Lucas says, is it over? Wojciech says, finally. Florian says, what's happened at the mill? Is anyone hurt? We saw a fire. Player says, Peter, stop. You got your justice. You swore that you wouldn't harm the abbot or the brothers, remember? Peter says, I did. Claus says, no one else needs to die tonight. The abbot can talk to the Duke's herald. Werner says, you held Lenhard responsible for his actions. We can convince the Duke that what happened tonight was justice. Peter says, Otto is dead. Ulrich is dead. Thomas says, we can work through this, Peter. Hope is not lost. Everything can go back to the way it was before. Peter says, right. The way it was before. Like nothing ever happened. Player says, Peter. Gernot says, what is it? What did you do? Big Jurg says, Dad. Matthew says, God save us, he's lit the manuscripts. Peter says, nothing's ever going to change. Player says, the books. Big Jurg says, Dad. What did you do? Gernot says, we need to get to the water in the sister's well. Quickly, before it spreads. Yuan says, Peter. The soldiers are in the abbey. They're coming this way. Player says, we need to save as many of the books as we can. Wojciech says, no. We need to get out of here. Fabian says, God's. Gernot, Big Jurg, Werner says, out. Florian says, every. Entry says, how could this? Carl says, oh no. Claus says, Andreas. Let's go. Player says, I'm sorry. I can't. Claus says, Andreas.
Recognizing result document as Andreas Mailer's death indisputably resulted from a greater power A. Contractually exempted circumstance. His estate cannot be held liable in the interest of feminine liberty. His widow, Salmon, retains all contested investments. Pentiment. Recognizing result document. The 15th day of February. Annoy the meaning 1534. Annoy the meaning 1534. Pentiment.
Magdalene says feels like it's getting cold early this year, doesn't it? Gertrude says at my age, it feels like the cold comes earlier every year. But we need this chill for the leaves to fall and the galls with them. Magdalene says what, you don't want to climb the saint's tree to pull them off? Gertrude says ha. Even in my youth that would have required divine intervention. No, thank you. I'll stay here on the ground and wait patiently for the Lord to deliver. Don't you have ink back at your father's shop, though? Magdalene says for the press. He has it delivered. This is just for my own drawings. Besides, sometimes it feels nice to do things the old way. Gertrude says an old way it is. I would know. It says hey, Mags. Sister Gertrude. Gertrude says God bless you, Master Zimmerman. Magdalene says I told you not to call me that. It says what, Mags? What? People call me it's. You don't see me complaining. It's not even a name. It's a valley. Magdalene says you like being called it's. It says right, so. Why are you being so stuck up? Gertrude says Master Zimmerman, would you call Mary Magdalene, witness to our Lord's death and resurrection, Mags? It says. I guess not. Gertrude says that it seems only fitting you should call Mistress Druckerin by her full Christian name. It says all right. Sorry, sister. Sorry, Mags. Magdalene. Anyway, your dad wants to see you. Magdalene says what? What? Isn't he at the rat house? It says he is. He wants you to grab his mural sketches and bring them. Magdalene says fine. I suppose this is enough calls for now. Gertrude says I was just about finished, too. God bless you both. It says don't be long, Magdalene. The council's waiting on this. Magdalene says not sure why this falls on me, but I suppose I better get going. I think Dad left the rat house plans on his workshop bench at home, next to the printing press. Journal. Options, main menu, cancel.
Recognizing result October 22nd, 1543. 6th hour. Return to main menu. Your game was last saved 6 seconds ago. Pentiment.
Options.